Throughout the Arrow TV show's 8-season run, Oliver Queen managed to rack up a kill count of 100 plus. However, fans were a bit miffed at first seeing the Green Arrow portrayed as a murderer. In the comics, Green Arrow has a strict moral code and would only kill if he was left with no other choice. With this in mind, I'm Dan from What Culture, and these are the 10 times Green Arrow has killed. Number 10. A rabbit. Green Arrow Secret Files and Origins. When Oliver Queen was a boy, he was gifted with a bow and arrow on Christmas Day. While playing around with it, he shot a white rabbit, killing it. Ollie felt so ashamed, he never wanted to touch a bow again. Little did he realise that this mentality would change his life forever. Several years later, Ollie and his parents, Robert and Moira, went safari hunting. Ollie refused to take part in the hunting, saying that he could not take a life of another living thing. Suddenly, a herd of lions cornered the queens and attacked Ollie's parents. Ollie instinctively picked up a bow and arrow to protect them. However, he was so rattled by his experience with the rabbit that he hesitated. He eventually shook it off, allowed his primal instincts to take over, and shot the lions dead. After the herd fled, Ollie realised his parents had succumbed to their wounds and perished. From that point onwards, Ollie vowed to protect the world from evil, using his trusty bow and arrow. Number 9. China White. Green Arrow Year 1, Number 6. Before he was a superhero, Ollie was a spoilt rich boy without a care in the world. When one of his employees asked him to invest in several offshore accounts, Ollie naively agreed, unaware that the accounts belonged to a drug lord called China White. When the employee arranged to meet her, Ollie agreed to join him on the boat ride to China White's island in Fiji. Worried he would expose the whole operation, the employee knocked him off the boat, leaving Oliver for dead. Luckily, Ollie managed to survive by swimming to shore. Unfortunately, it happened to be the same island where China was forcing slaves to grow opium for her heroin empire. Since the region was populated by dozens of China's henchmen, Ollie knew he couldn't survive unless he had a weapon. Crafting a bow and arrow, Ollie single-handedly freed the slaves, defeated China's goons, and destroyed her facility. When China threatened to kill one of the slaves, Ollie fired an arrow at a tanker of heroin above, causing it to crash to the ground beside her. The heroin burst out, smothering China to death. Number 8. The Bone Collectors. Green Arrow Number 46. Hefe was a leader of a terrorist cult called the Bone Collectors. This group steal bones they believe to be of significant use to them in rituals to amplify their dark magic. Over the years, Hefe has accumulated the bones of saints, demons, and heroes to serve his god. When Hefe's son became fatally ill, he discovered a wolf hound named George, who had the exact bones he needed to save his son. When Hefe dognapped George, he didn't realise the lovable mutt belonged to Green Arrow. Ollie pursued Hefe to Mexico to rescue his pet, but was ambushed and beaten unconscious by Hefe's minions. Unsurprisingly, the story concludes with the Emerald Archer breaking free, rescuing George, and defeating Hefe. Now, Ollie doesn't murder the cult leader in this story arc, but he does uncharacteristically slay 2 of his henchmen by impaling them with sharpened bones. This moment stands out as one of the only times the battling bowman has eliminated someone in such a brutal fashion. It's also one of the only times that Ollie has executed someone without using his arrows. Number 7. Tonobok. Green Arrow Secret Files and Origins. While patrolling a park, Ollie stumbled upon an immortal demon called Tonobok. Centuries ago, Tonobok decided to become a force for good, to undo all the evil he had committed in the past. Tonobok informs Green Arrow that there is a prophecy that he would redeem himself after destroying an artifact called the Heart of Nasant. When they located the heart, they noticed a group of trolls who had taken it and used its power to resurrect their queen. When the swashbuckling hero fired his bow at the heart, Tonobok deliberately got in the way of the arrow and died. Ollie later learned that the entire mission was a ruse concocted by Tonobok. After living for over 1,000 years, the demon had grew weary of his existence and decided to end his life. However, Tonobok could only die by having his heart pierced by the weapon of a knight. Knowing Ollie wouldn't agree to it, Tonobok invented a mission that would manipulate events so the archer would kill him. Ollie was happy Tonobok was finally at peace, but still felt guilty for killing him. Number 6. Ricky. Flash Number 217. There is no question that Green Arrow is the world's greatest archer. He can hit a bullseye from a mile away, shoot an arrow down the barrel of a gun, and split an oncoming arrow with his own. Even though he uses arrows on criminals all the time, it's usually to cause minor damage. Sadly, even the best of the best can screw up. While fighting several thugs in an alleyway, Ollie got hit in the arm with a lead pipe, reopening an old injury. When Ollie noticed one of the thugs, Ricky, was armed with a sniper rifle, the archer aimed his bow and prepared to fire. However, the injury he had just suffered caused his arm to spasm. The arrow pierced Ricky's chest, killing him instantly. Oliver was so devastated at taking someone's life, he shredded his costume, broke his arrows, and told his partner, Black Canary, that he was quitting the superhero lifestyle. Luckily, Green Lantern managed to convince Arrow not to give up, but it still took some time for him to get over the experience. Number 5. Dozens of people on an oil rig. Green Arrow number 0. During the New 52 reboot, Ollie was given a very different and far more tragic backstory. When he was a young man, Ollie's father had grown so tired of his son's immaturity, he forced him to work on an oil rig, hoping the experience would mature him. Instead, Ollie had parties on the rig and had musicians flown in to perform gigs. Unfortunately, one of the rock stars that was meant to fly in had his helicopter hijacked by a terrorist called Iron Eagle. He then took over the whole rig and began siphoning off precious oil. As the hijackers tied up hostages, Iron Eagle revealed he was holding a detonator that would blow the structure to smithereens if anyone came near him. In a panic, Ollie whipped out his bow and fired an arrow at Iron Eagle, knocking the detonator out of his hand. Although Ollie assumed the device would safely land in the water, it dropped onto one of the hostages, blowing up the rig and killing almost everyone on board. It may have been an accident, but Ollie's actions unquestionably led to the death of dozens of civilians. Number 4. The Torturer. Green Arrow number 27. After he indirectly caused the death of almost everyone on the oil rig, Oliver Queen was shaken to his core. Little did he know that he would kill again soon after, and this time it would be intentional. When he washed up on an island after the oil rig incident, he was kidnapped by an ancient combative organisation called the Outsiders. Assuming Ollie was sent by an agency to interrupt their schemes of world domination, the Outsiders had him tortured relentlessly for several weeks. After being beaten, starved, and waterboarded, Ollie knew his suffering was never going to stop unless he did something about it. As his torturer prepared to pull out his teeth, Ollie headbutted him, broke the chair he was strapped to, and held a wood splinter to his assailant's neck. The torturer brazenly told Ollie that he was bluffing since he didn't have the guts to take a life, but Ollie proved him wrong by shoving the splinter into the torturer's neck until he bled out. Even though Ollie believed it was a kill or be killed situation, he was horrified to watch another man die. Number 3. Ezra Sampson. More Fun Comics number 73. It's a well-known fact that Batman's no-kill rule wasn't set in stone in his early adventures. In his first self-titled issue, he hanged a criminal to death from his Batplane. In later stories, Batman's backstory was retconned, so he had never taken a life. But the Dark Knight wasn't the only superhero who had this dilemma. Not only did Green Arrow used to kill in his early stories, he murdered a man in his debut issue. When the Emerald Archer and his sidekick Speedy burst onto the scene back in More Fun Comics number 73, they were investigating an assassin who was hunting a group called the History Club. When Ollie located the perp, Ezra Sampson, he tried to escape in his car. Luckily, or unluckily for Ezra, Ollie shot an arrow at the criminal's tyre, causing the vehicle to plummet into an embankment, killing the assassin. It's interesting how readers were up in arms when Green Arrow snuffed out Prometheus, considering he's been snuffing out criminals from the get-go. Number 2. Prometheus. Justice League Cry for Justice number 9. The apparent death of Batman and Martian Manhunter during Final Crisis took a heavy toll on the Justice League. Enraged, Hal Jordan insisted tragedies like this could be avoided if the team sought out the supervillains before they committed crimes. After several members rejected Hal's proposal, Green Lantern stormed off and created a proactive super team with Starman, Atom, Supergirl, and Green Arrow. During this time, a master mercenary called Prometheus planned a crime spree on a global level. As he initiated his master plan, the deadly assassin killed several superheroes, infiltrated the Justice League's headquarters, and ripped off the arm of Green Arrow's ward, Roy Harper. Although he was subdued, the League didn't realize Prometheus had placed a bomb in Ollie's home, Star City, and his antics were a mere distraction. While he was being interrogated, Prometheus's bomb detonated, slaughtering millions, including Roy's daughter. In Ollie's mind, Star City's destruction proved Hal's point that the League should have been more proactive. To ensure Prometheus never killed again, the Archer ambushed him in his lair and shot an arrow through his skull, killing him in the process. Number 1. Hal Jordan. 0 Hour. Crisis in Time number 0. Because murder is viewed as the most heinous act, it's horrible when we see the likes of Batman or Superman forced to kill. But what's worse is when we see a superhero deliberately end the life of one of their own. After Hal Jordan was possessed by the fear-mongering parasite, the Green Lantern took on the mantle of Parallax. After decimating the Green Lantern Corps, killing the Guardians of the Universe and absorbing the energy of the Green Lantern's main battery, Parallax became a godlike entity. When he allied with the chronokinetic extant, Parallax prepared to restart the universe in his image. After an epic battle with the heroes of Earth, the sole survivor of the Green Lantern Corps, Kyle Rayner, grabbed Parallax from behind, leaving him momentarily vulnerable. With a golden opportunity before him, Oliver Queen fired an arrow at Parallax's heart, destroying him. Of all the people that could have defeated Hal, Ollie felt the most fitting. Being best friends, Ollie's actions proved that he was willing to make the biggest sacrifice for the sake of the universe. When Hal returned to life many years later, he told Ollie that he made the right choice by putting him down. And that's our list. Know of any other times Green Arrow has committed murder? Let us know in the comments below. You can follow me on Twitter at DanJDurkin. Also, be sure to head over to whatculture.com for more lists and articles like this every single day. For now though, I've been Dan, and I'll catch you in the next one.